The day my son sold my workshop behind my back, he looked me straight in the eye and called me selfish. He had no idea that my late wife had left a blue folder in the bottom of her closet 10 years ago, and that one folder would make his entire sale completely worthless. My name is Thomas. I am 72 years old, and for the first time in my life, I realized my own son saw me as a problem that needed to be moved out. I have lived in the same house for 44 years. It is not a big house. It is a small 2-bedroom house in Maple Street. The paint is a little faded. The roof makes a noise when it rains hard, but it is my house. Behind the house, there is a small wooden workshop. It is only about 20 by 20 feet. I built it myself in 1983, when my son Michael was just a baby. I can still remember that summer. My wife, Alina, was holding Michael in her hip. She was 28, beautiful, untired. She looked at the pile of wood and said, "Thomas, are you really going to build that thing by yourself?" I said, "Yes. This will be my hut when I am old and I can't build houses for other people anymore. I will still have this place to make small things." And I did. For 38 years, I was a carpenter. I was not a rich carpenter. I didn't build mansions. I built kitchen cabinets for young families. I fixed broken porches for old ladies who could not pay much. I made wooden toys. When Alana gets sick, I spent more time in that workshop. The smell of sawdust and old wood calmed me. When she passed away 3 years ago, at the age of 69, the workshop became my church. It was the only place where I could still feel close to her. After I retired last year, I decided I would not let the workshop die. I started cleaning it. I fixed the old table saw. I bought new tools. Not for me, for my granddaughter Lily. Lily is 7 years old. She is Michael's daughter. She is the light of my life. She has Alina's eyes. 2 months ago, she came to the workshop and said, "Grandpa, can you make me a pink dollhouse with a small balcony for my princess?" I said, "Of course, my love. Grandpa will make you the most beautiful dollhouse in the world." That dollhouse was supposed to be in my workbench. I had already cut the wood. Last Tuesday, I went to the hardware store at 9 am to buy pink paint on small hinges. I was gone for maybe 1 hour. When I came back, there was a big white truck in my driveway. It said Miller Construction in the side. 2 young men in yellow vests were in my backyard. They were holding a ling measuring tape. They were measuring my workshop. I felt a strange cold feeling in my stomach. I parked my car and walked to them. I tried to keep my voice calm. I said, "Excuse me, gentlemen, can I help you? What are you doing in my yard?" One of them, a man with a beard, looked at me like I was confused. He said, "We are starting demo prep. We bought this lot. This shed comes down on Monday. We are building a 2-car garage for the new owner." I said, "There is a mistake. This is my property. This workshop is not for sale. It has never been for sale." He sighed like he had heard this before. He opened a clipboard and showed me a paper. It was a purchase agreement. At the bottom, there were 2 signatures. One was my son's signature, Michael T. Henderson. The other one was supposed to be mine, Thomas J. Henderson. But it was not my signature. It was a forgery, a bad forgery. The T in Thomas was wrong. I always make my T with a small curve. This T was straight. The paper said my workshop on the back third of my land had been sold for $85,000 to Miller Construction. $85,000, my entire life hot, sold for the price of a used cat. My hands started to shake, not from anger, from something deeper, from betrayal. I took a picture of the paper with my old phone and said, "Please leave my property now. This sale is not valid." They left, but the paper stayed in my head. I walked into my house. I sat at the kitchen table, the same kitchen table where I had taught Michael how to do his math homework. The same table where Alina and I had planned our whole life. I called my son. He picked up in the 3rd ring. He sounded busy. He said, "Hey, Dad, what's up? I am in a meeting." I said, "Michael, there were 2 men from Miller Construction in my backyard. They said you sold my workshop." There was a lung silence. About 10 seconds, I could hear his breathing. Then he said, in a different voice, a cold, tired voice, "Dad, I was going to tell you tonight. Yes, I sold it. Listen, you need to be reasonable. You are 72. You live alone in a big house. You done. T need a workship. You haven't built anything useful in yas. That doll house for Lily, she doesn't need it, she has an iPod. I said, Michael, that is my workshop, you can't sell my property without asking me. He laughed, not a happy laugh, a frustrated laugh. He said, Dad, it is for your own good. I already found you a great place, Sunny Pines Senior Living. It is very nice. They have nurses, they have activities. The Della's 85, zero will pay for the first year. It is time you move out, Dad. You can't live here alone forever. You are being selfish. You are making Sarah and me worry all the time. You have to think about us for once. That word selfish had worked for 40 years. I had paid for his college. I had paid for his wedding. I had given him Dilla's 20-0 for the down payment in his house. I had never asked for anything. On now, because I wanted to keep a small wooden shed to build a doll house for his own daughter, I was selfish. I did not argue. I have learned that when someone has already decided you are the problem, arguing only makes them believe it more. I said quietly, Okay, Michael, I understand. Thank you for telling me. Hung up the phone. I sat in that kitchen for 3 hours. I did not move. The sun went down, the kitchen got dark. I looked at the empty chair where Alina used to sit. I whispered, Alina, what should I do? Our son wants me gin. And then I remembered something she had said. It was about 5 years ago, maybe 6 months before she get very sick. We were cleaning the closet. She was putting old sweaters in a box. She looked at me and said very seriously, Thomas, if one day Michael tries to make big decisions for you because he is scared or because he wants money, remember the blue folder. I put it at the very bottom of my closet, under the winter blankets. My friend Linda from the law office helped me. Keep it safe. It is our protection. At the time, I thought she was just being worried. I said, Alina, Michael is a good boy. He will never do that. She just smiled and said, I know he is a good boy, but good boys can become scared men, just remember. That night at 2:17 I could not sleep. I went to her closet. I had not touched her closet in 3 years. Her dresses were still there. The smell of her perfume was still very faint. I took out the heavy winter blankets, and there it was, a faded blue folder. My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside there were 3 things. First, the original deed to our house and land from 1982 in both our names. Second, a document called a Family Trust Declaration, dated 2015. It was prepared by a lawyer named Linda Park. I remembered Linda. She was Alina's best friend from church, who became a lawyer. I read it slowly with my reading glasses. It said, all property at 1428 Maple Street, including the main house and all outbuildings on the entire lit, is placed in the Henderson Family Trust. Thomas J. Henderson is the sole trustee for his lifetime. No part of the property can be sold, transferred, or mortgaged without the written consent of Thomas J. Henderson, signed in person before a licensed notary public. Only I could sell, no one else, not my son, not anyone. My son's sale paper with the fake signature was worthless. It was not just wrong, it was a crime forgery. The third thing in the folder was a letter handwritten by Alina 4 pages. The first line said, My dearest Thomas, if you are reading this, I am gone and you are feeling alone. I am so sorry. I sat in the cold floor of the closet with my wife's dresses around me, and I cried for an hour. I was not crying because my son betrayed me. I was crying because even after 3 years in heaven, my wife was still taking care of me. She knew this day might come. I did not feel angry. I felt calm, a strange, deep calm, the kind of calm you feel when you finally understand the truth. I did not call the police that night. A calm father does not destroy his son, even when his son tries to destroy him. I did one thing. I made one phone call. I called Robert Chen. He is 74. He was a real estate lawyer for 30 years. He is retired now. He was also in our small church group. He was the one who married us in a way, because he was the witness at our wedding. It was 3 he picked up in the second ring. Old people didn't sleep much. He said, Thomas, is everything okay? I said, Ribbit, I am sorry to call so late. My son sold my workshop. He forged my signature. Rubit was quiet for a second. Then he said, In a very clear voice, "Do not worry, Thomas, do not sign anything. Do not talk to Miller Construction again. Bring that blue folder to my office tomorrow at 9 am sharp, and bring the photo of the fake paper. And Thomas, do not tell Michael you have this folder. Not yet." I said okay. Then my phone buzzed a text message. It was from Sarah, my daughter-in-law. For the last 6 months, Sarah had been very distant. She used to call me every Sunday she stepped. When I visited, she barely looked at me. I thought she was angry at me. I thought she agreed with Michael that I should move out. The text said, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I tried to stop him. He said if I told you, he would divorce me and take the kids away from me. He is in a lot of debt. He lost money. Please, can we meet tomorrow? Just you and me. I have to tell you the truth about the Della's 85-0 and about Miller Construction. Please hate him. He is my husband, but he is not okay, Sarah." I stayed at that message for a very long time. So Michael was in debt, so this was not about my safety, this was about money. And Sarah, the woman I thought had turned against me, was actually the only one trying to protect me. Robert Chen's office is not really an office anymore. He retired 5 years ago. Now he works from a small room above his garage. There is a small sign that says, Chen Consulting. He is 74, thin with white hair. He still wears a tie every day, even when he is at home. I arrived at 8:55 I had the blue folder in my hands. I had not slept. Robert opened the door and hugged me. He said, "Thomas, you look tired." I said I did not sleep. We sat down. His desk was covered in law books. He put in his glasses. I gave him the blue folder and showed him the photo of the fake purchase agreement from Miller Construction. He read the blue folder first. He read it very slowly, line by line. Then he smiled for the first time. He said, "Thomas, your Alina was a very smart woman, a very, very smart woman. Linda Park did an excellent job in 2015. This trust is ironclad. It is bulletproof. Michael can't sell 1 inch of your land without you standing in front of a notary on signing. This paper from Miller is not just invalid. It is evidence of a crime. Forgery of a deed is a felony in this state." I felt relief, but not happiness. I said, "I don't want my son to go to jail, Robert." Robert knitted. He said, "I know you are a father first, but Thomas, you need to understand what I found this morning before you came. You asked me to check the county records last night. I woke up at 5 and I checked." He turned his laptop around, and the screen was the county property website. He said, "Look, this is your property, 1428 Maple Street, and look here. Michael tried to record the fake sale yesterday afternoon. He went to the county clock. The clock rejected it because the notary stamp was fake too. The clock flagged it." "But that isn't it all," Ribbit continued. "I searched Miller Construction. Do you know who owns Miller Construction?" I said no. He said, "A man named David Miller. He is 40 years old, and for the last 2 years, he has been buying cheap land from families in financial trouble in our neighborhood. I found 3 other cases, Timus, 3 other old people, all over 75, all living alone, whose children or grandchildren sold a part of their lot to Miller for very little money, with signatures that look questionable. One of them Mrs. Johnson in Oak Street. She is 81. Her grandson sold her garden last year. She called me last month crying. I thought it was a family dispute. Now I see a pattern." My blood went cold. Robot said, "Thomas, I think Miller is not just a builder. I think he finds young people who are in debt, and he tells them, 'I can't help you pay your debt if you can't get me your parents' land cheap.' He preys on desperate children to steal from desperate parents." He looked at me. "Thomas, is Michael in debt?" I thought about Sarah's text. "I think so," Sarah said. "He lost money." Robot closed his laptop. He said, "Thomas, here is my advice as your lawyer and as your friend. Do not confront Miller. Do not confront Michael yet. The trust protects you. They can't take your workshop, but we need to know the full truth before we act. You said Sarah wants to meet you at 2 p.m. I said yes, at the park where Lily plays. He said, "Go. Listen to her. Do not get angry. Just listen. Sarah might be the only honest person in this story." At 1:30 p.m., I went to the park. It is a small park with 2 swings on a slide. Lily loves the swings. I used to push her for hours. Sarah was already there. She was sitting in a bench alone. She looked very different. The last time I saw Sarah 6 months ago, she was bright. She had nice clothes. Her hair was done. She laughed a lot. Now she looked tired. She had no makeup. She wore an old sweater. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying for many days. She saw me and stood up quickly. She said, "Dad." That one word, Dad, almost broke me. I sat down next to her. I didn't hug her, because I didn't know if she wanted me to. I said, "Sarah, thank you for texting me." She started to cry immediately, quietly. She said, "Dad, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I should have called you months ago. I was so scared." I gave her a tissue from my pocket. I always carry tissues now because of Lily. I said calmly, "Sarah, tell me what happened. No judgment. Just tell me the truth. I am listening." She took a deep breath. She said, "It started 1 year ago. Michael lost his job. He didn't tell you. He told you he get a promotion, but he actually get laid off. His company closed. He was so ashamed to tell you, because you always taught him to be a hard worker. I remembered 1 year ago Michael bought a new truck. He said it was because of his promotion. I was so proud." Sarah continued, "He tried to find a new job for 6 months, nothing. Then he started trading crypto stocks on his phone. At first he made some money, $50, then $10. He said, 'Sarah, I can make more money trading than working.' I told him to stop. He didn't. He listened. He started borrowing. He borrowed $30 from his friend David Miller, the same David Miller from Miller Construction. David said, 'Didn't worry, man, I am a friend. You can pay me back later.' Then Michael lost everything. All of it, the $30, plus our savings, $45 total. We had nothing left. We couldn't pay the mortgage for 2 months. I closed my eyes. My son, my proud son, had lost everything and told no one." Sarah said, "David came to our house last month. He was not friendly anymore. He said, 'Michael, you owe me $45 plus interest, $52 now. If you didn't pay in 30 days, I will take your house. I know a lawyer.'" Michael was terrified. He cried all night. I have never seen him cry like that. Then David said, "I have an idea. Your dad has that big let in Maple Street. That back let with the old shed, it is worth at least $150. If we split it, sell it to me for $85. I will forgive your $52 debt, and I will give you $33 cash to catch up in your mortgage. No one needs to know. Your dad doesn't use that shed. He is old. He will move to a senior home soon anyway. It is actually better for him." She looked at me with so much shame. Michael said no at first. He said no for a week, but David kept calling. He sent people to our house. He parked his truck in front of Lily's school. Michael was so scared. So last Monday, he said yes. He downloaded a signature from an old birthday card you gave him, and he copied it into the paper. He told me, "Dad will never know until it is done, and then it will be too late, and it is for the best." I told him, "You can't do this to your father. He built that workshop with his own hands. It is his heart." He screamed at me, "You don't understand. We will lose everything. Lily will have no house." He said if I told you, he would file for divorce and say I am an unfit mother because I am depressed, and he would take Lily away. She was shaking now. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I was a coward. I chose my daughter over you, but last night when he called you selfish, I was listening in the other phone when I heard him call you selfish after everything you did for us. I knew I had to tell you, even if he divorces me, you are not selfish, Dad. You are the most selfless man I know." She put her head in her hands and sobbed. I sat there. The swings were empty. The wind was blowing. I felt so many things: anger at David Miller, sadness for my son, and a deep, deep love for this young woman in front of me, who was carrying so much fear alone. I put my hand in Sarah's shoulder gently. I said, "Sarah, thank you for being brave today. You did the right thing. You are not a coward. You are a good mother, and you are a good daughter to me. Lily is lucky to have you." She looked up, surprised. I said, "You and Lily will never lose your house. I promise you, and you will not get divorced because of this if I can help it. But Michael made a very serious mistake. He broke the law, And he broke my trust. He didn't just steal wood on nails. He stole my dignity. And that, I can't just forgive with words. He needs to learn. Then I found wrong. It was Rubbit. I answered. Rubbit's voice was urgent, nit calm anymore. He said, Thomas, where are you? You need to come back to my office right now. I just get a call from the county, and I found something else in the property records from 2015 that Alina didn't tell you about, something that changes everything. And Thomas, Miller Construction just filed a lien against your house this morning. They are saying you owe them $15,000 for canceling the sale. They are trying to scare you. We drove to Rubbit's office together. Rubbit's garage office felt different when we walked in. Rubbit had printed out a lot of papers. He had 2 cups of tea. He looked at Sarah and said, Sarah, thank you for coming. You are a very brave young woman. What you did today took a lot of courage. Rubbit looked at me. Thomas, before we talk about Miller, you need to read page 4. Your wife asked me to make sure you read it. If this day ever came, she wrote it in 2015 when Michael was going through his first money problem. I opened the blue folder. The letter was 4 pages in Alina's beautiful small handwriting. Page 4 was different. The handwriting was shakier, like she was tired. Said, Thomas, my love, if you are reading this because Michael has tried to take the house or the land, please do not hate him. I know you are angry. I know you feel betrayed. I felt the same when my own father did the same to me. You never met my father, but he was a good man who became scared of being poor. When I was 22, he sold my mother's jewelry to pay his gambling debt. I didn't speak to him for 2 years. That was my biggest regret. I punished him with silence, and he died while I was still not talking to him. Michael is like my father. He is not a bad man. He is a scared man who wants to look strong. He has always been scared that he will never be as good a man as you. When you built that workshop with your own hands, he saw a man who could make anything. He never thought he could be that man. So when he fails, he hides it, he lies. Not because he does not love you, but because he is ashamed that he is not you. If this day comes, do not call the police on our son. Do not destroy him to save a piece of land. Land can't be rebought. A son can't. Set a boundary. Thomas, a clear, strong boundary. Like the fence you built around our garden to keep the rabbits out, but with a gate so the children can still come in. Tell him what he did was wrong. Tell him it broke your trust, and tell him what he must do to earn it back. Make him work. Make him face David Miller like a man. Do not pay his debt for him. If you pay it, he will never learn. On one more thing, I put a second protection in the trust. Read the last paragraph of the trust document. Linda knows. I love you. I love our son. Take care of each other even when it is hard. Your Lena. I could not see the paper anymore because of my tears. I finally understood this was not about Della's 85-0. This was about a cycle. Her father was scared of being poor and stole from his family. Her son was scared of being a failure and stole from his family. If I reacted with anger and punishment, I would just continue the cycle. My granddaughter Lily would learn that when family fails, we destroy them. I had to stop the cycle with calmness. Rubbit let me cry for a minute, then he said gently, Thomas read the last paragraph of the trust. I turned to the trust document, the last paragraph in page 6 in small legal letters. It said, in the event that any beneficiary or heir attempts to transfer, sell, or encumber any part of the trust property through fraud, forgery, or coercion, their right to inherit any part of said property shall be immediately and permanently revoked, and the share shall be placed in a separate educational trust for the benefit of Lily Henderson, granddaughter, until her 25th birthday. I looked up. Rubbit said, do you understand what this means? Thomas, if you report Michael's forgery to the police, legally, he loses his inheritance forever, and everything goes to Lily. Alina did this not to punish him, but to protect Lily if Michael ever became desperate. She thought of everything. Sarah gasped. I folded the letter. I put it back in the blue folder. My hands were not shaking anymore. I said, we are not going to report Michael to the police. Rubbit smiled. That is exactly what Alina hoped you would say, so here is my plan. Rubbit's plan was not about revenge. It was about truth and consequences. Step 1, we step David Miller. Rubit said, David Miller filed a fraudulent lien of Dilla's 15-0 against your house this morning. He says you owe him for canceling the sale. That lien is completely fake because there was never a valid sale. Filing a fake lien is also a crime. Plus, we have Sarah's screenshots on recording of him blackmailing Michael. That is extortion. And I have the 3 other families he did this to. Robert picked up his phone. He called someone. He said, Hi, this is Retribution attorney. I need to speak to Investigator Jones at the State Contractor Licensing Board. Yes, it is about Miller Construction License Number 45,092. I have evidence of fraud against elderly homeowners and extortion. He was in the phone for 10 minutes. He explained everything, calmly, with dates on facts, no emotion. When he hung up, he said, The investigator is very interested. Miller is already on probation. This will likely revoke his license. I'm also sending a cease and desist letter to Miller today, demanding he immediately remove the fake lien within 24 hours, or we will sue him for Dilla's 100-0 for slander of title on Sarah. With your permission, I will send your evidence to the investigator. Your name will be kept confidential. Sarah said, Yes, please do it. I didn't want him to do this to another family. Step 2, we deal with Michael. I said, I want to talk to Michael knit to yell to set the boundary, but I want you both there, Sarah. You are his wife. You need to hear this. Rub it. You are my witness. Sarah texted Michael, Dad wants to meet at his house 6 p.m. Please come. It is important. Bring no one. Michael texted back immediately. Is he going to call the cops? Sarah replied, No. He just wants to talk. He is calm. At 5:30 p.m., Sarah and I went back to my house. Knit Miller slit my house. I looked up my workshop. The measuring marks from Miller's men were still in the dirt. I didn't erase them. I wanted Michael to see them. At 6:05 p.m., Michael's truck pulled into the driveway. The same new truck he bought a year ago with the money he said was from his promotion. He got out. He looked terrible. He hadn't shaved. His eyes were red. He looked like a little boy who had broken a window and knew his father was home. He walked to the front door, but I was sitting in the back porch next to the workshop. I said, We are back here, Michael. He walked to the back. He saw me. He saw Sarah. He saw Rubit. His face went white when he saw Rubit on the blue folder in the table. He said, Dad, I said, Sit down, Michael. He sat in an old paint bucket. He couldn't look at me. For a minute, one spoke. I could hear the crickets. I could hear Lily's wind chime that Elena had hung in the workshop 10 years ago. Then I spoke calmly, quietly, like Elena taught me. I said, Michael, I love you. You are my son. That will never change. But what you did this week broke my heart and broke my trust. I picked up the fake purchase agreement photo. I said, You forged my signature. You tried to sell my workshop, the place your mother called my heart, for Dilla's 85-0. Without asking me, you told those men to demolish it on Monday. The place where I was going to build a doll house for your daughter. The place where you learned to hammer your first nail when you were 12. Do you remember? You carved M plus Dad in the bottom of that little stool. It is still in there. Michael started to cry silently. I continued, Then you called me selfish for wanting to live in my own home. Do you know how that word felt after 40 years of working for you, after paying for your college, your wedding, your house down payment? He whispered, I am sorry, Dad. I am so sorry. I said, I know you are sorry now that you get caught, but I want to understand why. Sarah told me about the debt, about David Miller, about losing your job a year ago and it telling me. Why didn't you tell me, Michael? Why did you let a stranger blackmail you instead of asking your own father for help? He finally looked up. Tears were running down his face. He said, Because I was ashamed, Dad. You are Thomas Henderson. Everyone in town knows you. You built everything with your own hands. You never asked for help. You never failed, and I failed at everything. I lost my job. I lost our savings. I am 45 and I have nothing. I couldn't look you in the eye and say, Dad, I failed. I thought if I could just sell the booklet quietly, pay David, and get back in my feet, you would never know. I thought I was protecting you from worrying. I was so stupid. And there it was, the truth, greed, shame, just like Alina said, a scad man who wants to look strong. I felt my anger melt Nit completely, but enough to see my son, Nit my enemy. I said, Michael, listen to me, a man is Nit measured by whether he fails. Every man fails. A man is measured by what he does after he fails. Does he lie and steal from his family, or does he stand up and say, I need help? I opened the blue folder and showed him the trust. I showed him page 6, the paragraph about losing inheritance. He read it, his hand shook. He whispered, oh my God, I could have lost everything, Lily. I said, your mother put that there to protect Lily from you. If you ever became desperate, she loved you so much she protected you from yourself. Even after she died, she also left you a letter. I want you to read it tonight. But Nit now. I closed the folder. I said, here is what is going to happen now. This is my boundary. This is Nit punishment. This is how you earn my trust back. 1. You will not go to jail. I will not report you to the police, because you are my son, but David Miller will be reported. Ribbit has already called the licensing board. Miller will never do this to another old man again. I will not pay your Dilla's 52-0 debt. If I pay it, you will never learn. You will work to pay it. I talked to Ribbit. Ribbit has a friend who owns a lumber yard. He needs a manager. It pays Dilla's $28 an hour. It is hard work. Knit an FS jib. You will take that jib tomorrow. You will give me Dilla's 10 every month from your paycheck. I will keep it in a savings account for Lily's college. Knit for me, for your daughter, until the Dilla's 52-0 is paid back to me and work on responsibility. 3. You will apologize to Sarah, properly. And your knees if you have to. She was brave enough to protect this family when you were Knit. She saved you from making a bigger mistake. You threatened to take her daughter away. That is not to husband. You will go to counseling with her. Ribbit knows a good counselor for couples. 4. My workshop stays. You will never ever try to sell any part of my property again. But I will not keep it just for me anymore. Your mother would not want that. Starting next month, I'm going to turn my workshop into a small class. Every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., I will teach neighborhood kids and grandpas how to build small toys for free. And I want you and Lily to be my first students. You will help me build that pink dollhouse for Lily, with your own hands, not with money you borrowed, with sweat. Michael stared at me. He was sobbing now loudly. He get off the paint bucket and knelt in the dirt in front of me, Sarah, and Ribbit. He put his head in my knees like he did when he was 6 years old after a nightmare. He said, Dad, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Thank you for not hating me. Thank you. I put my hand in his head, my son, 45 years old, crying in my lap. I said, I could never hate you, Michael. I am disappointed. I am hurt, but I love you. A father's love has a fence, but it always has a gate. Sarah was crying. Even Ribbit had tears in his eyes. It has been 6 months now. David Miller removed the fake lien the next day after getting Ribbit's letter. 2 weeks later, the state licensing board suspended his contractor license for 2 years after 3 other families came forward. Sarah's evidence, kept confidential, was the key. He left town, last I heard. He works in another state. Michael S. Della's 52-0 debt to him was declared void by the board because it was based in extortion. Michael does not owe him anything anymore, but Michael still pays me Dilla's 10 every month for Lily's college, because a debt to your family is a debt of Enna, not just money. Michael took the job at the lumberyard. He hates it some days. It is hard, dusty work, but he comes home tired and honest. He and Sarah went to counseling. It is slow, but they are talking again. On my workshop, every Saturday at 9 a.m., my workshop is full. Last Saturday, there were 6 kids on 4 grandpas. We are building birdhouses. And in the middle of the workshop, in the main workbench, there is a finished pink dollhouse with a small balcony for a princess. Michael and I built it together. It took us 3 months. Michael cut the wood ring twice. I didn't yell. I showed him again. Lily watched and handed us nails. When we finished, Lily clapped her hands and said, Grandpa, Daddy, it is the most beautiful house in the whole world. Michael looked at me with sawdust in his face and said, Thanks, Dad. I have decided not to move to Sunny Pines Senior Living. I will stay in my house, but I did change one thing. I changed my will with Ribbit's help. I put the entire property, house and workshop into the Henderson Family Trust for Lily. When I am gone, it will be hers to build whatever she wants. But Michael and Sarah can live here as long as they want, as long as they take care of it and keep the Saturday classes going. My wife Alina was right. A house is not just land and wood. It is a place to teach the next generation how to be calm, how to set boundaries, and how to forgive. If you are listening to this and you are over 50, and your children have ever made you feel like you are a burden or selfish for wanting to stay in your own home, I want you to know this. You are not selfish for wanting to keep your heart, your workshop, your garden, your kitchen table, whatever your heart is, you have earned the right to keep it. Calmness is not weakness. Setting a boundary is not cruelty. Forgiving your child does not mean letting them walk all over you. It means saying, I love you, but this is my line. You must respect it to stay close to me. If this story touched you, please share it with another father or mother who needs to hear it tonight. And tell me in the comments, what is your workshop? What is the one thing in your home that is your heart that you will never let anyone sell? Thank you for listening to Calm Dad Stories. Take care of your heart and take care of your family with calmness.